What's up, everybody? It's your favorite hood healer. It's your favorite hood high priestess. It's your favorite motivational dominatrix. It's your favorite auntie, captain, goddess, king, LadySpeech in the place to be. And I want to welcome you back to this here channel. You could be anywhere. As a matter of fact, you are somewhere in the world, and you're also sharing a little bit of time and space with me. So I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're feeling this, if you're feeling me, if you like what I'm doing, if you like what you see, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit the notifications bell so you can keep up with all of my shenanigans. Now let's get into it, shall we? All right. Are you ready to get into it? Are you ready to get into it? As you can tell from the title and from that lovely transition shot, we are going to be talking about one of my favorite and one of my most used herbs in my witchcraft, in my magical practices, in my spiritual occultness, in my hoodoo shenanigans, in my conjure, in my spells, in my recipes. We're gonna be talking about basil, so let's get into it. I'm gonna cover a little bit of what other people like to use it for, and what generally it's been used for, and then I'll talk a little bit about what I like to use it for. So let's get deep. All right, so let's get a little bit into the energies that basil is used, or the workings that basil is oftentimes used for. So basil is oftentimes used in purification work. It's used a lot in love work, in luck work, in cleansing work, and in protection work. I like basil because a lot of indigenous cultures caught on real quick to this, and not only does it flavor the food perfectly, but it spices up your life. It spices up your dishes. It takes your greens to the next level, but it also takes your purification to the next level. It takes many things to the next level. So I like basil because you can find it in a lot of places. They say, and a lot of people will have it. So it makes it easy when you're traveling about, and also because you can use it for a bunch of things, you do not have to worry about having this massive collection of herbs in order to get some workings done. Okay, so in the culture that we live in today, we live in this kind of like culture. We live in a hoarding / materialistic culture. Capitalism breeds buying a bunch of stuff, collecting a bunch of stuff. One of the things about conjure, about hoodoo, about magic, about the occult practice is, number one, less is oftentimes more. Number two, use what you got. Number three, use what's around you, okay? And also study what you have. Many elements, many things in nature, many of the tools that we have can be used for many different things. When we think about old school magic, when we think about the magic of the oppressed, when we think about the magic of the colonized, when we think about when those things happen, when we think about how a lot of indigenous folks, especially Black indigenous people, because Black people are indigenous, hello, goodbye. When we think about when magic or the occult or when, you know, mysticism or those things were used, there was a limited amount of resources. You really had to get to know the things that were in your areas. And things like, just like we as people contain multitudes, herbs contain multitudes. So even, and I say this having a pretty good collection of herbs. I don't have them all, but I have a pretty good collection of herbs. And even with that being said, it's good to remember that sometimes you don't need 15 herbs for a working, for a recipe, for a spell. Sometimes you don't need 1 billion herbs for a bath. Sometimes you don't need a bunch of ingredients. It is a lot of magic, a lot of witchcraft, a lot of the practice is about intention, and also knowing. If you know what each of these elements that are a part of your working, a part of your spell work can do, if you know the full scope, if you have a full full picture of each of these elements, you can put together a really powerful working, a really powerful bath, a really powerful potion, a really powerful purification, you know, ritual, recipe, spell. You can put something really powerful, really potent together with just a few herbs. So yeah, this is what basil has been used in, you know, how it's been used, how I like to use it. I love baths, and I've been, especially this last couple of years, I've had my phases where I go in and out of taking, like, you know, sit down baths. So I love baths. I like to take my spiritual baths. I utilize basil a lot in my protection work, and I also love to use it in my bath work, in my spirit bath work. So there's several kinds of spiritual baths that I take. You know, you can take baths where you're sitting and all in the water. You can take standing baths where, you know, it's all your herbs are together and you pour it over yourself and all kinds of good stuff. But anyhow, no matter what type of spiritual bath I'm taking, I oftentimes, not always, but I oftentimes like to use basil in my protection baths or my spiritual cleansing and purification baths. You can burn this, the great thing is you can burn it. So you can add it to blend to cleanse and purify. So this is one thing if you don't have sage, if you don't have Palo Santos, if you're not into burning that. And I want to bring up the fact that burning herbs is to cleanse a space is something that a lot of people, their indigenous past, have access to. So basil is one of those herbs that you can burn to clear and purify the space. So you can burn it, you can bathe in it, like I mentioned, you can add it to some water to steep a little bit. You can do, yeah, you can eat it. One of the things about using herbs in your cooking is if you know the medicinal and the magical aspect of the herbs you're using, because again, many people use this to cook. Like, so if you know that, you can add that intention. You know, you are already subconsciously adding that intention when you are working with herbs in the kitchen or in your magic. But when you know these herbs from a mystic and magical perspective, you can be even more intentional when you're cooking and add, you know, spice up your spaghetti with a little bit of magic, baby. Spice up that spaghetti with a little bit of magic. So you can add it to your food, you can bathe with it, you can boil it and use it in concoctions to make purifying sprays. There's a lot of things that you can do with basil. You can dress candles with it. I definitely have used this in mixtures. I've grinded it up finely in other mixtures and used it to dress candles. I do that. I mostly, how do I use this the most? Floor washes. I love to use this in my floor washes. So probably my top 3 ways of using basil are gonna be, top one is the bath, of course, like the bath. This is really good in floor wash, making a floor wash. Recently, the last time I mopped my floor, which I need to do again. I will sweep and mop the floor regularly, and then I will create a little bath tea. Not a bath tea, but a floor wash, and add that, and then mop with it. So yeah, those are the top ways. And then the third way is candles. I use it in the dressing of my candles. So basil, if you have basil, there is a whole lot of stuff you can do with basil. I use it for prosperity work. I use it for protection and clear, you know, and purification mostly. And again, you use it for prosperity work too. So basil, get into it, baby. Get into it, baby. Basil on its own is beautiful. You can combine it with other things depending on what part you want to enhance. So when I'm cleansing with this, I will add herbs that also are about cleansing. When I do protection, I might add 1 or 2 herbs that like focus in on protection to enhance that and kind of bring that essence forth and forward. Yeah, so it is what it is. Basil, get into it. If you have this in your kitchen, you've got something to work with in regards to recipe work, spell work, potion work, you know. Or even if you aren't even into that, get to know, now that you know a little bit more about basil, do some more of your own research, and you can be a lot more intentional when you're making your delicious, lovely food filled with love. So yeah, that's it for that video. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know if you enjoy more videos like this. I think I want to do more like herb videos. I want to like take, you know, tools that I like, and as a practitioner, things that have really, that I've, you know, that I use, my favorite herbs, favorite crystals, things of that nature. So my favorite tools. So yeah, let me know if you enjoy that, and I'm probably gonna keep doing it whether you enjoy it or not, because I had fun. So let's be honest. But let me know in the comments if you did enjoy it. For my longtime practitioners, for my baby witches, for my new witches, tell me in the comments what's one of your favorite herbs. Also, let me know in the comments if you've worked with basil, and how do you like to work with basil. Do you like to put it in your, do you like to, are you mostly a culinary witch, a kitchen witch? Do you like to add it to your baths? Do you like to add it to your protection things? What do you do with basil? And what are the benefits of basil? I will say this, when it comes to herbs and tools and things of that nature, it's not, again, about quantity. It's not about how much of these things you have. It's about the quality of the things that you have and the connection to the things that you have, okay? Back in the day, your ancestors may not have had access to 40 different herbs, or they might have, but the herbs that they had access to were the herbs that were around them, okay? And they made it work, and they made it happen. I will say this too, as you continue to practice, you will begin to develop a relationship or an affinity or a connection to certain herbs, to certain, you know, crystals. There are going to be certain things that start to become a part of your signature, and that's okay. That's also good too, and to be encouraged. I'm gonna tell y'all straight up, and probably the next herb I'm gonna do for you is rosemary. You know, Spirit really told me to talk about basil today, but rosemary is one of my personal all-time favorites. I use rosemary whenever I can. I use rosemary for whatever I can, and it's one of my favorite herbs. It used to be an herb that I always loved to taste. Like rosemary potatoes were one of my favorite dishes, still one of my favorite dishes. I love rosemary with my salmon. So yeah, and then once I really got into the herb aspect of my conjure and my hoodoo, it translated over into magic as well. So oftentimes we will have, you know, an affinity or a connection to a thing. We have a relationship with it that we could have developed in a past life, or we just have a connection to it. Go with that, learn that, you know, and cultivate that relationship with those things. All right, my guys, y'all. My guys, my girls, my gentle theys, my ladies and gentle theys, my ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you. If you made it to the end of this video, gold star for you, darling. Mwah, all my love. Thank you all for the support. I appreciate you so deeply. Thank you for my OGs who've been riding with me. Also, let me know in the comments if you're new here. If you're new here, put a caterpillar. If you're old school, put a butterfly. Got me flying so high in the sky. I don't know the rest of it, but let me know if you're new here. You know what to do. And again, if you're feeling this, if you're feeling me, if you like what I'm doing, if you like what you see, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that notifications bell, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also know that you probably heard a little bit of noise throughout the video, and that's okay. I live with a roommate, baby, and he's living his best life. I'm living my best life, and you hopefully are living your best life too. Now, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.